the state of CrossFit right now. I had Dave on. He was actually our first guest. He was like episode 3.
Yeah.
It was a great episode. He was super open about everything. But we were born in the CrossFit space. That's how I kind of came to love the sport. I was competing in it to get ready for the military, and was able to get out to the games in 2013 before I joined the service. So, we're still very immersed in it, still train that methodology, and I love it. We go to the games every year, of course, as vendors, but we'll sneak into the Coliseum and watch some events. So I've been able to witness since 2013 kind of the evolution, and I wasn't there in the OG days, like 08, 09, whatever, but I kind of felt like I joined.
You want to hear something terrible and terrifying?
Yes.
There's a lot of people I meet now who will say, "Oh, Pat, I love you. You're an OG, man." I'm like, oh shit.
And when did you when was your first games appearance? What year?
16.
Okay.
Well, team in 15 and then individual 16.
On. Okay.
I feel like I'm like third generation almost.
Yeah.
Like the OG ranch era is like the Spieler era, I'm
Yes.
like, oh dude, come on, man. I'm not
the Holmberg and Spieler. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
No, I'd say that's fair. But in 2013, 2014, and from my optic, and I think Dave validated this. He wasn't he acknowledged that was kind of from a lot of viewers the glory or the golden years, right? It was out in Carson. You had your Saturday night workout, fireworks, it was electric, man. And the Coliseum still is. And obviously, as it goes to different sites, we'll see, if the magic is there. But obviously, when it hit, there were some organizational mistakes that Dave acknowledged that, were just kind of obvious. Like, why would you delete an Instagram account that had 2 million followers and that's all your content? Firing the media team, all these weird decisions they made. And then COVID happened, so that didn't help either. And I feel like right now CrossFit is at a little bit of a crossroads. And as a brand that is endemic to the space, we of course are stakeholders because we want the sport to succeed, and so many other brands do as well. And I've said this multiple times, we wouldn't have built what we've built without the meteoric rise of CrossFit. We rode that, we got in. It was sometimes better be lucky than good. Had it not been for us entering that unique space that was this unique phenomenon at the time, what we have today wouldn't exist, right? So I'm as big a supporter of CrossFit as ever, but I'm curious just from an athlete standpoint, if CrossFit was kind of traded on the stock exchange here, where do you think it would land? Are we coming out of a low? Dave kind of acknowledged during the COVID and kind of the Glassman fiasco, that was a low point. But it's, from just an observer, it feels like we're at this fork in the road, and what is it going to become? And just curious your take. And obviously I'm rooting for, I love CrossFit. I think the games are awesome. I like the fact that they're embracing the elite aspect of the games again. For a while, Glassman kind of wanted to do away with this elite athlete, and it's that, dude, that's what's going to get people to want to do it when they see it on ESPN and CBS, and that's cool. It's okay to be elite. You know what I mean? We can still speak to the everyday gym goer. It's not going to scare them. So I'm glad they're getting back into yes, CrossFit Games is a part of this. And but yeah, curious your take, and if there's anything over the last since the years you've done it, any critical mistakes you've seen that you would even be willing to call out, or just let's talk CrossFit a little bit. How are you feeling about everything?
We have a turbulent relationship with CrossFit HQ as games athletes. I think similar to you guys, obviously it has provided us with a platform and a lot of livelihood and a lot of opportunities. But they're hot and cold with us. I feel like when it's nice for them, they're really supportive for the games athletes. We'll make a documentary. It's good for us. Their focus is affiliates. I think, that's their business model, and the sport is a consequence of what their product is, which is quite sexy. I think it's easy to watch. It's easy to consume. It inherently lends itself to a race, and they haven't had to do a lot to foster the sports side, I don't think, because people are inherently competitive. So, sometimes we feel like when it suits them, they love us. And then when they want to kind of sing a different tune, then they shove us to the side like a toy they don't like anymore. And then when it comes time for the game season again the next year, we love the games athletes again. And here we are, front and center. And so it's a bit tough. I would say that that period through, COVID and that's a difficult time for any business, right? And I think especially one that relies on space and group class structure and all this stuff. And I think your expectations of how they can navigate that have to be a little bit tempered. Yeah, there was weirdness that went on for a while. I think the athletes have also, like you guys, we feel like we're stakeholders and our input matters. And on the sports side, we kind of feel like nobody knows it better than us. And sometimes we get in arguments with CrossFit over that, because I think that it's their show. And I think rightly so, that if they feel like they know best. So sometimes we butt heads over things like that. And, you know, a guy like Dave, I don't always see eye to eye with Dave. We get along fine, but like, I'll argue with Dave and, you know, he'll argue back with me. And I think that, to me, that's form of love that I think is like productive, or I hope is productive. And I hope that they continue to see it that way, because my biggest dream is that when my toddler back here is, 15, 20 years old, and there's old pictures of me doing CrossFit, it's something I can look back and say, hey, this is a thing that I did. And he knows what it is, and it's cool. It's good to talk about. And I don't have to say, oh, son, let me sit you on my lap and tell you about the rise and fall of a thing called CrossFit, right? Like I want this thing to have legs and succeed. And what we're trying to do, even with things like we've started up the PFAA, is to create a legacy that's going to allow the sport to continue to improve for years to come. And it needs leaders in the athlete side. It needs leaders in the, the brand side. It needs leaders within the sport, within the CrossFit HQ side, that can kind of just help work together and try to create something really nice. And I don't know anything about the affiliate side. I got to be perfectly clear. That's not where my world is. It's not where my interest is. So I'm blind to that. And I think that I often can lead me to be maybe more critical than I should be, because sometimes we look outside at things that a company does and think it's stupid. And most people running large businesses are not dummies. Usually if you think a decision looks stupid on the surface level, it's because you're missing some key piece of information. Nobody's over there trying to shoot themselves in the foot. Right. It's just, sometimes I think maybe we need more information or you don't see the whole vision. And there's some people there that have a plan, and this is step 2 of 10. And you just maybe need to hang on a little bit. But I think in the wake of some of what happened through COVID in the last couple of years, some decisions that got made around competitions, trust has been low for a little while. I think there was that heyday period of 2013 to even through to 2018. I think things were really rising fast, and the media was good, and they were spinning out really good resources for affiliates and things. And then things got rocked for a bit, and I think trust is low, and it takes time to rebuild trust. Right? It's the classic, it takes a minute to lose and a lifetime to build sort of thing. So I've had conversations with Don Fall and guys like that when we're at competitions, and they've asked some of the athletes about, what sort of things we think they need to do to rebuild trust. And that my answer has mostly been, you need time. Like, you need to continue to make good decisions again for a period of 3 to 5 years. And then everybody's going to be like, hell yeah. Right. We're back on board.